some content to start you on this journey. Peter, are you on the line?
I'm still here. Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. So you know what we're going to do before we cover anything else? We're going to answer some of the questions from our listeners. You ready?
Fantastic. Yep, fire away.
Yeah. Okay. So we're here. Okay, great interview, very comprehensive and informative. The question is, when defining media, would that include traditional as well as social media? And if so, are there different techniques when approaching each?
Well, I think what I was talking about mainly today was traditional, what we would define as traditional media. That's the thing that I mainly concentrate on. There's a lot of people out there who have tons of advice on social media, and I would, suggest that a lot of that is very, very valid. And social media is a new thing comparatively with traditional media. So, the sort of the rules of engagement are still being kind of established. I mean, the thing I would say about how most people think that social media is the way to go because it's very cheap, it's free basically to engage. It's immediately accessible. Everybody can just sign up for a Twitter account or a Facebook account and off you go. But I think where people kind of ignore traditional media is because they think it's a bit inaccessible and it's only the sort of domain of the successful and the super rich. But really, if you think about the numbers, people are kind of happy when they get, 50,000 or 100,000 views on a YouTube video. And that sort of might take place over a year, perhaps getting those views. You go on a TV show that sort of the nightly news, you're going to be in front of 5 million, 10 million people in one go. Wow. That is just, instant 5 million views in inverted commas. So what I would encourage people to do is social media is absolutely great. And I think it's going to become more and more important. And a lot of the rules that we talked about today, like sort of not putting anything on in the media that you wouldn't want to appear in the newspaper the next day, I think those definitely apply to social media as well as traditional media. But my main message to everybody is just because you're in a small business or you're starting out as an entrepreneur is don't be afraid to approach the main media, because it just unlocks a lot of power that social media still, I would suggest, has a long way to go to catch up with.
You actually made a very valid point, and I do have to put my hand up and say probably I've never seen it that way, even though actually one of the main reasons that we started Speak on Radio is because we know the power of what we'd call almost like instant media, like real time. So if you're live on radio, right, it's still the so traditional media, but it's very powerful in connecting you to your audience right there and then. And also the other thing that it does is people are listening to a business show because they're interested in business. Right. But when you post a clip on social media, you're targeting your 1,000, 2,000 friends who are interested in a million things. And actually, in most cases, unless obviously you publish them public, you're only reaching your friends. And there's a real skill that goes behind the people that use social media for business. There's a lot of training that goes on in terms of how to target. But a lot of people just throw stuff out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you say, you're not really targeting. Whereas when you speak on radio, like we are now, the people who have actually tuned in listening today because they're interested in what we are talking about.
Yeah,
it's a choice, and it's the same with TV. Yeah. So thank you so much for answering that question. And let's see, I'm sure I have. some other questions here. Obviously, somebody likes your comment about preparation, and then they're saying, what's the other P to make it the 4 Ps?
I think I only said 3, but
I know he's obviously that I would like the 4 Ps, and I said there'll be preparation.
Probably preparation again. Yeah, exactly. You can't have enough Ps. That's the answer to that one.
You can't have enough. You can't have enough Ps. Okay, we're gonna come back on that, because you know what, we are on the last 9 minutes of the show. I can't believe an hour and a half is almost over. We have so much to cover. And the big question, we've covered a lot of things, right? And we actually, one of the things we're saying, be part of a larger story. If you can't be part of a larger story, how can you differentiate yourself so that suddenly the media, right, wants to know who you are? What are some of the things that you would advise that, our listeners can do to get that media attention?
Yeah, well, I think here a big win can be by using your customers or your clients to create the bigger story for yourself. And I actually just wrote a blog about this on the dealwiththemedia.com site. So this isn't the free giveaway that I was going to talk about, but it's something that's in my mind at the moment. So it's probably good.
But it's also very powerful content, right?
Yeah. It's basically, if you go again to a journalist and say, I've got this new mineral water that I've created, again, they're going to say sort of, so what? But if you go to a journalist and say, well, look, I have created this new mineral water that I know this running club that I am part of, I've given out for free, and it's improved all their times by 10%. Suddenly, that's a bigger story that a journalist is going to be interested in. And better yet, if you could then go to a school and say, this water has also improved the grades of all the pupils that I've given it to by 10%. Suddenly, that's part of a bigger story that your product is creating, that's driven by human interest. Because guess what? Everybody wants to run 10% faster, and everybody wants their kids to have 10% better grades. So that's a kind of that's a kind of human kind of emotional story that will play well in the media, and that a journalist is going to latch onto. But if you just go and say, look, I've got this water, it tastes nice, it's good in a nice bottle, what do you think? They're probably not going to give you much time. So I would say, make sure you go out to your clients, make sure you go out to your customers, and you collect these fantastic anecdotes of how the product or service has changed their lives, and how also, if you can persuade them to be interviewed by the journalist as well, that could make a sort of very, very powerful thing. Because again, it's not just you talking, it's sort of, there's many strands of support to your story. There's many proof points.
So kind of almost you got your testimonials and social proof.
Exactly. It's just like a testimonial on a website. And for those who are trying to sell things online, I'm sure that you know how powerful those can be and how much they can help your sales. It's the same when you go to a journalist. You've got to have at least 2 proof points, I would say, to every story that you convey in the media. And you're only one. So you need to get another one from somewhere.
Okay, no, that's really good. It always reminds me the classic of the purple cow. A lot of people do know where that story comes from, Seth Godin. It's like, what, if you see, normal standard cow driving along beautiful countryside of England, right? You see cows all the time. They look exactly the same. You've seen them for years. But if you drive past and you see a purple cow, you would definitely stop. Yeah. Because it's like, purple cow? Really? Seriously? And it's, as you kind of just say, like, anybody selling the example used of bottled water is bottled water, so what? Right?
Yeah.
Why is it different for the next one, the bottled water? I have a problem when I go buy water because there's too much to choose from and they all look the same.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's what we're saying. Another question that we have, and it's around that whole thing of actually standing out and kind of differentiating yourself, is can you be popular and different at the same time?
I think absolutely. I mean, when you said that, the first person that popped into my mind was Lady Gaga, who I think is very different and very, very popular. She's, I think, the sort of leading person on Twitter with the most followers of anybody. So, I mean, I know that's in the music world rather than in the business world, but I think her example would absolutely apply. I mean, it's a huge cliche, isn't it, to talk about Richard Branson when you're talking about business, but there is a guy who's incredibly popular despite, running a huge multinational business. And, rumors are he's not always as nice to everybody as he appears when he is on camera, but he is popular and and also different because, how many CEOs regularly sort of skydive, hang on to the helicopters, dress up as air hostesses and all the things that he does, but his being different has made him more popular, if anything, I would say. And
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. Even his branding is all around. He differentiates himself. And we are on 3 minutes. Can you believe it? And because we did say, so as much as we want to take, we have more questions. And if you did send your question, they haven't had it answered, we can bring Pete by popular demand, and we can sort of make arrangements because, I belong to the Academy of Significance, and I do use the material that Pete is providing on his training on his website, and it is very, very helpful, especially for me personally, for my business, and for the event, the Authors Award ceremony that we're talking about on the 29th of August in Hollywood. So, Pete, we did say that we're going to give something to our listeners, especially since we're not going to be able to cover everything. Would you like to give us more details about that in terms of how they can connect and in terms of the more extra stuff that they might, that they may want, because people are at different levels, different places, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Basically, if you go to the homepage of my website, dealwiththemedia.com, it's all one word. Dealwiththemedia.com. You can, there's a button that says get some free training. Hit that button, and then basically you'll be able to access a video which takes you through a 5-step acronym. And each one of these, the letters that form the acronym, it spells truth, TRUTH. Each one of those letters stands for an element that will really make you stand out to the media. And if you manage to combine all 5 elements that make up truth, you will almost be guaranteed to get a journalist interested in your story. So it's a thing that we teach in media training to our sort of blue chip companies, and I've seen it work time and time again. And so that's really something that I would recommend that everybody goes and grabs as soon as possible.
And the website was?
Dealwiththemedia.com. So DEALWITHMEDIA.com.
And they can connect with you?
Yeah, all our social media is easily accessible on that website. And there's an email address up there which will come straight through to me if they want to get in touch.
Running, Pete. We have 40 seconds and we will be cut off. So it's been a pleasure having you, Pete. Thank you so much on behalf of SpeakonRadio.com. On behalf of our listeners, we want to say thank you so much. Connect with us on Facebook or Deal with the Media, where you can have more content. We'll be back next week. We will send you the link. Thank you so much. It's our first show, and I believe that we've had fun, and so have you. See you next week. Goodbye. Bye, Pete.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
You are listening to SpeakonRadio.com. Be seen, be heard, be present. The place where entrepreneurs, business owners, speakers, authors, actors, politicians,